roommates. FIU and I share a birth year. So
really?
we kind of grew up
Nice.
together. Tomorrow that job might be obsolete. And so how is FIU adapting?
Now, as president, what are your top 3 priorities? And welcome to Game Changers Live, coming to you from our home studio here at the College of Communications, Architecture, and the Arts at FIU. And today we have a very, very special guest, Game Changer. We have President Jeanette Nuñez with us. She is the former Lieutenant Governor for the state of Florida, a game changer in that sense, and definitely a game changer here, the first Latina president, first female president we've had at FIU, and a Panther alumni. So welcome, my friend.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's really a privilege.
Awesome. So let's get going on this. You have broken barriers all throughout your career in public service, now at FIU. Tell me how that story relates to kind of the spirit of FIU, right? Because FIU has been a battle uphill for many years, ever since its beginnings. And your story is also kind of similar, right? Because it hasn't been easy for you. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure, and I think it's great to kind of put that in context because FIU and I share a birth year. So
really?
we kind of grew up
Nice.
together. And it's been a critical part of my life, my future, everything I've been able to accomplish really started here. But when you think about FIU, and you mentioned the uphill climb that we've had to endure here at FIU, and certainly being able to say now that we are a preeminent top 50 public research university, ranked #1 for 3 consecutive years in the state of Florida for performance, that is just a testament to the great work that happens each and every day on campus. But it didn't come easy. It came with a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of difficult challenges, but they were met with a spirit of resilience. And I think when I'm able to kind of look at my career in the rearview mirror, I think about all the challenges that I faced, but I really don't look at it from the perspective of, okay, I'm the first female president, or I was the first Hispanic female lieutenant governor. I just look at it from the perspective of what am I going to do? How am I going to make an impact? What am I going to do to change our community, our state, or in this case, our university for the better? And I just think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm really excited to be at the helm.
Did you ever think when you were walking these halls that one day you would be the president of FIU?
Never.
Of course.
And I tell that to students today when I speak with them. When you get to interact with people that are just thinking about the future and thinking about their career path. And we know many students, they study one thing and then they go into a totally different opposite field. And what I want to share with them is that there are no limits. The only limits you have are the ones you place on yourself. And so with the perspective of looking for new opportunities, not holding yourself back, because I know sometimes these opportunities, these challenges, you think about it and you're like, is this the right fit for me? Is this the right position for me? Am I going to be able to accomplish what I set out to accomplish? But I really think FIU prepares you so well to face any challenge, to climb any hill, and to excel and to thrive.
And so you worked also in the healthcare field, right, at Jackson. Tell me a little bit about your career progression after college. Well,
what I'll tell you is that every step of the way, it was never my plan. So I got here at FIU. I actually started before I was my first summer job, my high school year before I entered into senior year. I worked a summer job in the registrar's office in PC. And loved it, and they actually offered me the job once I graduated from high school. They said, "Come on back, and we'll employ you again."
Wow!
So I guess they liked me, which was a good sign. It was great because I had a job in which I could go to work, and then when I had class, I could just run to class and come back. So I came here with the expectation to study business and go that route, and then somehow I ended up in an international relations class, and I liked it, and I decided to change my major with no idea where my future would lie, right? And so I studied political science and international relations. I then went on to get my master's. I was looking for a job, as most students do, and the only job I found, I applied everywhere. The only job I found was a job working as a staffer for a state representative. And so, of course, as any good young graduate would do, you take whatever job you can. And that really started my career in public service. So I spent about 9 years working as a staffer, both in the Florida House and in the Florida Senate, and developed a huge appreciation for state government, for legislative policy making. So, that really, I enjoyed it, but never just had a desire to run for office. Then from there, I went to go work at the hospital, like you mentioned, and I headed up government affairs for Jackson Memorial Hospital. I did state, local, federal. I'd say probably 2 years in is when I started to think about, what about opportunities down the road? And then in 2010 is when I decided to take the bull by the horns and run for the state house. I ran for the state house, spent 8 years in the legislature, and when the time had come, term limits are 8 years, I was going to sail off into the sunset and leave politics behind. And then I got a call about perhaps joining the ticket as lieutenant governor with Ron DeSantis, and didn't really have a desire to do that. I politely declined the first time. And then circumstances occurred. I got a number of calls and people encouraging me to reconsider. And like they say, I changed my mind, and the rest is history. I served 6 years alongside Governor DeSantis, just got a really unique opportunity to meet a lot of interesting people, to do a lot of interesting things, to get involved in a lot of important issues for our state, for our community. And so that was really just a high point in my career. And then situations happened and opportunity like this came along, and I got to tell you, I never would have thought I'd be here. But it's been phenomenal. I have really had just such a wonderful time coming back home, because I view FIU as part of my home, part of my history, and then of course now part of the future.
So with a career in impacting community and service, what are some of those common denominators that you're transferring over that you've learned in the political realm into academia? Because obviously it's a different animal altogether, different challenge, posing different opportunities. So what are some of those kind of leadership lessons that you've learned from over there that are going to apply here?
Yeah. Well, I thought I was leaving politics when I left as lieutenant governor.
Yeah, you're not.
I actually got in deeper. Yes, there's a lot of politics in universities.
Absolutely.
And it's only because there's so many competing stakeholders and so many needs, so many opportunities, like you said, because there are challenges, but I never look at it in a negative. I always look at it in a positive. But really, leading a university is very much public service, because you think about the lives that you impact, 55,000 students, the faculty, the staff, the community, from an economic perspective, the things that we do, the research that we're conducting that's saving lives. So it really is, it runs a whole gamut of public service. But yes, the lessons that you learn in politics and in leadership roles, you have to be bold, you have to be willing to make difficult choices, you have to stand by your decisions. But in order to get there, you have to also be mindful of the voices, right? The competing voices, the stakeholders, how your decisions are going to impact everyone. And so you have to be willing to listen, but you also have to be firm in your decision making. And so you, as a leader, both as lieutenant governor or as a state representative or in any of my professional endeavors, I pride myself on being collaborative and being willing to work with anyone. But I also think that at some point, you are the leader. The board has entrusted you to lead this organization, and you need to do it with purpose, and you need to do it with energy, and you need to do it with passion. And I think I bring all of those things to the table. Yeah.
And a lot of times in leadership positions, it's not black and white. There's a lot of ambiguity. There's a lot of, there's good answers on both sides. There's bad answers on both sides. And you just have to, you got to pick a stance that you can stick behind. So student success is critically important. Things are changing rapidly. How do you view student success, right? When we look at the 3 or 4 years that students spend here, when they come out, they need to be prepared for these ever evolving job markets, and AI is playing a big role in that, in the sense that what they started studying 3 years ago perhaps is a bit outdated by the time they graduate. So as president, when you start looking at student success, how do you view that? How do we want to prepare our students for success?
Well, I think the obvious answer, right, and any university president, how do you measure student success is, do my students graduate on time? Do they have fulfilling professional careers? Are they being employed upon graduation? But that's just a small piece of it, because to your point, technology is changing so much that a student that graduated with a degree in this field or in that field today they might have a job. Tomorrow that job might be obsolete. And so how is FIU adapting, providing students and faculty, because we need to make sure our faculty is well prepared, well trained, and well resourced to deal with these technological innovations. So how do you deal with that, and how do you make sure that you are giving students the tools that they need, but also understanding that there comes a point where there may have to be additional learning opportunities for them, and if that comes in the way by the way of a credential, a certificate, they may not need to have to come back for another degree per se, but they may need to upskill on how to deal with AI. And so I think that's really where the future is going to be. And I think many people are hesitant, they're fearful of how much AI is going to overtake industry. But I think we have to, it's incumbent upon us to really embrace it, to adopt it, to ensure its proper usage, to make sure people are trained, and to constantly be thinking of the next iteration. Because in our lifetime, our parents, they saw some level of technology. We saw some level.
When the calculator came in, they're saying, oh, well,
Texas Instruments,
this is going to ruin, critical thinking.
Right. Yeah. And so I think we need to be mindful of that, the human connection, the critical thinking piece. But I think the tools that we have today, even what we have today, what we know, the technology that's taking place today, I mean, our kids are, I have 3 in my own, they're older, but as you think about how students, how young adults are starting to learn, it needs to be embedded in a way that's productive. But I also think, talking about all the technology, and I know there's a lot of excitement around it, but I also think we have to make sure that we're educating and providing students with the tools to think critically, the tools to engage, to connect. We were talking earlier about that human connection and developing relationships, mentoring, networking. So I think that there is a fine balance. But I do believe that FIU has to be the university in South Florida, but really across the state, that's leading, that's exciting in terms of what we're providing our students, and then industry coming in, because who doesn't want to be in Miami?
Exactly. So a few points. I think AI is not coming for jobs. I think it's coming for the jobs of the people who don't use AI, right? If you're not using it, you're going to get left behind, guaranteed.
Absolutely.
And then to your point, everyone is more connected than ever on their phones, but they're not connected, they're connected as least as ever. From a human perspective, right? And so how do we create that sense of connection? I think it's really important for a university to have that, because your relationships are what you take with you. You don't take your math course necessarily with you, things like that you learn.
We forgot our math course.
Right, it teaches you, but it teaches you how to think, right? In that sense. But your relationships and your network are really what flourish and that you take forever. And you make a lot of that here at the university campus. So shifting on to the healthcare world, we're really excited about the Baptist partnership that you have now. So now Baptist becomes a teaching hospital. Some of the FIU healthcare workers that we have here then become part of Baptist, is my understanding, right? We're building a 100,000 square foot clinical building here on campus. That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about that for those that don't know.
I'm actually really excited about that piece, because it's kind of taking me back to my healthcare roots.
Exactly.
So being able to parlay that and be able to develop that clinical facility with Baptist, as you know, the partnership that we have with them is going to be groundbreaking. It's going to be providing so much access and opportunity for things like research, for clinical delivery in an excellent care setting, making sure that we are cutting edge, making sure that our faculty are, as you said, employed at Baptist and vice versa. They're going to be providing us with so many unique opportunities as they become a teaching hospital. So the facility will be built right on campus. It'll be an outpatient facility, and it'll have access to everything from orthopedics to neurology to cancer treatments. And of course, I'm really excited about that. We also have the partnership with Nicholas Children's. So we're going to do everything that we can on that side, right? So being able to provide things like treatment for pediatric cancer. We have excellent researchers here, Dr. Azam, who's doing just amazing work. When you talk about, people going through a very difficult time, I can think of nothing worse than a diagnosis diagnosis of pediatric cancer,
Right.
especially for the parents that are having to contend with that. But to know you have here at FIU and alongside with our partners a place to turn to, not only for hope, but for cures. And so that's really the exciting thing, that we're training the doctors of tomorrow and we're developing the cures really of today, but certainly as we grow and as we enhance in the research and enterprise, you're going to see so much more coming out of there.
And that pediatric cancer is very near and dear. We had Raymond Rodriguez Torres on from Live Like Bella, and some of the work that has been done in conjunction with FIU and Cleveland Clinic on helping cure pediatric cancer is amazing. Amazing. And I've been spreading that word like gospel kind of to as many people as I can to go check out those clinical trials. So now, as president, what are your top 3 priorities?
If there were only 3, but
but if you had
as any good leader, you really have to focus,
Right.
because unfortunately, if you start chasing every priority, everything that's important, you do lose focus, and it's easy here at an institution of our size. Like I mentioned, 55,000 students.
Yep.
We got 11,000 employees. We have campuses throughout, and so it's important to kind of narrow in that focus. So when I really have that laser focus, that wildly audacious goal, right? What is it that FIU wants to do? What do we want to become? And that is a top 30 public university. We're talking about hospitals.
Yeah.
So we want to become a top 30 public university. We want to be the school of first choice, because we know many of our students, especially in this area in South Florida, they want to get away and they want to go north and they want to maybe spread their wings and get out from under mom and dad's careful watch. But when I look at FIU and I see what we have been able to do in terms of performance, what we've been able to do in terms of research, I think really where we want to solidify our place is that top performing, top research university. And so I think we should be a draw. Maybe, kids from South Florida want to go away, but I would challenge them, reconsider, stay here. We've got a great campus. Many people would love to have a campus like ours in a city like ours. And so I think, we need to make sure that FIU is viewed. I say this often, and it's kind of cliche, but I'm going to keep saying it. I want our reputation to match our reality. And our reality is that we are the best, best by this, as designated by the state of Florida, by our rankings, by all the performance metrics that we have to meet. Our students graduate, they get jobs, and we're better, South Florida, right? And so a lot of students that come to FIU, they stay here, and so that's an economic engine for the future. And I really am just very excited. And so that's kind of the big, broad vision. But of course, the healthcare piece is very exciting. But we have so many unique assets here, and so many unique programs, and there's very little we don't do, and I know you know that, being a former SGA president and Mr. FIU almost. So but I think that when you look at our law school, top bar passage rate, when you look at our medical school, and they've been able to place our residents 100% match rate, when you look at the fact that we are the only underwater research facility in the world, we do research in every ocean and every continent, so there's something for everyone. And so I really want FIU to kind of break through some of the past, when we were just a sleepy little commuter school. We're young, but we now have a very powerful, very large alumni base, and so I think it's fine time for FIU to be viewed as the elite school that it is.
Yeah, I was here when, and you remember very clearly when there were trailers out here. We used to go to school in the trailers and park out there in the grass somewhere. So it's come a long way. So fundraising is a critical part of any university, and your background in politics has, you have a tremendous experience in that space. What are your ideas around fundraising and a possible campaign?
Yeah. So that is for sure coming. But we want to make sure we have the right infrastructure in place, that we have the opportunity to delve into those relationships, both existing and new. South Florida, you have so many people of massive wealth moving into the area. So you have to form those relationships. You have to make sure, again, you have the right infrastructure in place, the right people in place to be able to deliver the philanthropy experience, right? Because it's one thing for me to go and ask for money, and a donor can give us, a great gift, but I don't want it to be transactional. I want it to be not just an investment in money, but I want it to be an investment in FIU
and transformation
from a very big, broad perspective. Because I think when you have donors that, they can give a check and we appreciate it, but I want them to be wholly invested in FIU. And that means I want them to think and breathe. FIU, I want them to connect us with their donors, their fellow friends and business, perhaps business associates. But we really do need to up our game in philanthropy. And I know part of that comes with, and I don't know if you're going to touch on athletics, but part of that comes with athletics. So that's been a big priority of mine as well. Like, how do we improve our athletics? It's no secret.
100%.
Obviously, I hear it a lot from our students, from our alumni, from people in the community. They want FIU to do well. A lot going on in that field. We may not have time to touch on it all, but the world of college athletics has changed, and so we need to keep pace with it, and we need to figure out a way to succeed on the field, like I say, and then off the field. So philanthropy is going to be a big focus. I am doing a lot of outreach. I am having a lot of meetings. We've had some really good successes already in the short time I've been here. We'll probably queue some of those up when I do my official installation later in the fall semester. But we'll hope to be announcing some important gifts and looking forward to maybe completing some projects. I'll give you an example. Casa Cuba is one that we're getting close.
George Corton. He's been working on that for quite some time.
So I think we'll be able to have some good announcements around that and some progress. So looking forward to completing a few things that we've got going on, and but it is a 24/7 job, just the philanthropy part. So it requires a lot of attention, a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and you have to spend time developing those relationships. So no different than politics.
Yeah. And another sleeping giant component of this is the alumni network. We have so many alumni in South Florida. Anywhere you throw a rock, you'll hit an FIU alum, I think, somewhere in South Florida and around the world. But I think that's one of the areas where we have the most potential, right, for growth and engagement and connecting with them and bringing them back to campus. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah. 100%. As a double alum, I can't agree with you more. Everywhere I turn, I run into someone that's like, oh, I did my undergrad there. Oh, I went to law school there. Oh, I did my master's
or
there.
my son or daughter goes there, or now even some of my grandchildren go there.
Right.
We're getting that multi-generational.
We are. And so what I'll tell you is that I think for a long time, alumni, we're maybe just taken for granted. It's like, oh yeah, great. I went to FIU and the university didn't really engage too much. So it is my expectation that we're not only going to engage, we're going to force them to come back, whether they want to or not. So we really want to extend sort of the usual, ways to bring people back to campus. And I have a whole series of events we're going to be kicking off, and looking forward to engaging on a real personal, genuine one-on-one way. But then, of course, in a bigger way. Football season's around the corner. I would be remiss if I didn't say we're going to have our first ever pig roast competition September 13th.
Really?
So make sure
things get serious at those pig roasts.
Things are getting serious. Yeah. So for those of
we got a lot of pig roast people in Miami.
They better come, because it's going to be a great event.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So if you look at your career, I think you've been a game changer. What was a game-changing moment in your life that really kind of sparked or changed the trajectory of your life? Was there someone or something that happened that you can talk to us about?
So, I think it was a series of events, and I might have alluded to it initially when we were talking about kind of my career trajectory. So it really was when I took that leap of faith, if you will, and went to work in healthcare. I knew nothing about healthcare, and I really wasn't an area that I was passionate about, but I had the opportunity, so I took it. And it was at that point where I was involved in really important issues, an important organization, and looking at the possibility of perhaps running for office. That moment, I think, really set off a course, a series of events that would bring me to where I am today, sitting here with you talking about my career. And when you think about game changers, right? Like, you have lots of people that are in the game. They're participants or they're spectators. But you really want to be kind of leading, whether you're at the quarterback position or you're the point guard or whatever it is. You want to be making an impact. You want to be changing the game for the better, right? Sure. Always for the better, and always looking forward. I think about my career as sort of, driving a car. You plug in your GPS where you want to go. You're looking forward and you're driving ahead. But every once in a while, occasionally you have to look in the rearview mirror and look back and kind of reflect on the decisions you made, the opportunities you had, and then build from those experiences, because sometimes you failed, sometimes you didn't do the right thing, sometimes you maybe made the wrong decision. But those, I think you learn more, and I tell my kids this sometimes, you learn more out of defeat or failures or setbacks than you do if everything goes well. So I think you need to always be looking forward, but occasionally reflect on your career or your decisions or your history. So
let's switch gears a little bit and talk about you as the personal stuff. All right. So you have any pets?
Well, sort of, but it was our family dog, but my daughter took her when she got married.
Okay.
So
what
I'm
kind
the
of
grandma.
dog?
I was the grandma, so I get visitation.
Oh,
so,
visitation rights, but you don't have to take care of them, which is even better.
No.
Awesome. All right. So where's your favorite place to travel to?
Oh, my favorite place to travel to. Well, I would say, I love going to Europe because of the history. Italy, the food.
Sure,
I mean, you cannot go wrong in Italy. We have bucket list items of where I've not yet been to. I would love to go to Japan, would love to go to South Africa, would love to go to Australia, would love to kind of finish our 50 states tour. I'm probably mid-30s.
Wow.
So I'm looking to kind of check a few of those off the list.
Nice.
But yeah, that's kind of, I love to travel, but honestly, these days I like to just stay home and relax.
And relax. Right? I think you're busy enough as it is.
So we tend to go to the Keys for our little getaway, quick
take a breather.
Respite.
Yeah. And hobbies. What hobbies do you have?
Hobbies. Well, I don't have time for hobbies nowadays, but I do love to cook. I am terrible at photography, but I do enjoy, photography and kind of putting together, what used to be scrapbooks. Now it's all done digitally.
I just did a Snapfish book, and it took me like 6 hours.
Yes, I know.
To document our summer RV trip that we did.
RV
and
trip.
So
Okay, nice.
First time driving an RV.
Where'd you go?
I
know you're doing the questions.
We flew to Vegas, and then we took an RV nine nights. We went to Zion National Park. We went to Lake Powell, Antelope Canyon.
That one's beautiful. I've been there.
Horseshoe Bend.
Nice.
Grand Canyon, Sedona, and then back to Vegas. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that's something that if for those of you out there who have kids, there's a certain window of time where you need to do those traveling.
Indeed.
Because your kids are older, right?
Yes.
And now they're in a different stage.
Yes, they are. My daughter is 26. She's a Panther undergrad. So
nice.
She came here for undergrad. My middle one is 24. He's also undergrad and also pursuing his professional degree here at FIU. And then the little one is 19. He is at Miami-Dade College and debating where he wants to come.
Right.
My money's on FIU, so we'll see. I need the trifecta.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're older, and so of course now if we go on vacation, now we have to pay for them and their spouses. So now it's
an expensive vacation. Now you gotta say, hey, you gotta pay your own way.
The older two got married last year, so
yeah. And then cafecito or tea?
Cafecito.
Cafecito still, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like tea on occasion, but no.
No, nothing can get it out of you.
I was hoping we'd have some here.
You cut yourself and it drips out, right? So phenomenal. So 5 to 10 years from now, you want to see FIU as a top 30 university thriving. Do we want to be the largest in the country? Is that important? Or it's not really important, right? Maybe more quality.
Yeah, I prefer quality over quantity.
Sure.
I mean, of course, we're a large university. We serve a tremendous
quality
purpose.
And quantity.
And I've said it often throughout the interview process and throughout my onboarding here, and I mean it not with all sincerity. If you think about if FIU had never been approved, right, by the legislature, if we didn't exist, because they maybe thought, well, we've got too many state universities. If people want to go to university, they can go up the road or they can go somewhere else. Think about what that would have meant for so many people, myself included. I don't know. Would I have pursued a higher education? Perhaps I'd like to think so, but many people would not have had the opportunity to get a degree, to perhaps get an advanced degree, to go to law school, to go to med school. And think about the businesses that wouldn't exist today in South Florida if FIU didn't exist. And then just, the impact that we've had. So many students are first gen students. So many students, have such interesting backgrounds, walks of life. And I really think that FIU is a special place. And I think what FIU looks like today is what many universities will look like across the country.
Right.
And so we are the model. We are the gold standard. We are excellent in so many areas that I think people will look to FIU and want to replicate what we have here.
We're very, very, very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I think you're going to do amazing things. I think it's the perfect time for you to be coming in, especially as a Panther alum, and with your impact, I think it's going to be phenomenal. So
thank you so much.
Best of luck to you. We're
appreciate
here
you.
supporting you all the way.
Thank you.
And so, folks, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe and share it with somebody who needs to hear it, because this could be the game changer in their lives. Balls up. Let's go.